welcome to Solve This Murder. I am your detective, Dani.
And I am your crime scene criminal and witnesses, Bill. This is part 4 of the virtual victim.
In part 3, we met Luke Holloman, who described Dave's weird creative style and schedule, which led to me thinking that maybe he's stealing his game ideas.
Dani also found out that 2 weeks ago, Luke had had a meeting with a strange game developer, and Dave had had a party in which he announced he was going on another one of these game development sabbatical trips.
And we received the chat notes from Nicole revealing a rather childish troll, but also that the comments from Righteous Lemon were coming from inside the house.
Detective Dani wanders through the darkness. She's wearing dark clothes, a beanie, sneakers for sneaking, as she approaches the apartment building of Dave Lecomte.
Glad you remembered his last name.
I wrote his last name. The moon is full, and there's just enough light for Dani to see the building across the road, the car park on the underground, the sort of bottom floor car park underneath with cars all parked.
Interesting.
The building's entryway shines in a dim light.
That just doesn't seem safe.
And Dani watches and watches. And what does she do?
Oh, I don't know. I kind of thought the episode was written for me.
Oh, okay, sure. Suddenly, Dani trips, breaking her nose. She's rushed to the hospital. Detective Simba arrives 2 weeks later and says, "I solved the crime. Here's what the solution was."
Game over.
Game over.
Second chance.
Would you like to load a previous save? Dani waits in the darkness. What do you do? So you've arrived at the apartment building. You wanted to do some house-style snooping.
I didn't know that I was going to be doing it in the dead of night. That seems like a bad idea.
You told me explicitly to do it in the dead of night.
I think I just said that I wanted to do it in a sneaky fashion when other people weren't likely to be around.
If people go back,
I think you said dead of night.
If people go back to last week's episode, they will hear you clearly say dead of night, black beanie, sneakers for sneaking.
I'm pretty sure that I said I go to sleep, and then you filled in the rest.
Yeah. So let's get snooping.
Because the problem is,
you can snoop during the day if you like.
People are definitely going to be in their apartments at night.
You said
Whatever.
Dead of night.
You know what? Let's find out.
What kind of snooping do you want to do?
Let's see what happens. Well, okay. First things first, I want to go back into Dave's apartment itself.
All right. So
Just
you
quickly.
go back in. You take the lift up to his apartment, if you remember correctly, which goes up all the way to his hallway, not into the apartment, but there are no other apartments in this hallway anyway, so it's pretty much the same.
Anything different from last time I went here? Do I notice any suspicious changes? New footprints?
It hasn't been long. It's not like it's been days since you were last here. It's really like it's the evening of.
Yeah.
So nothing really has changed.
Okay, great. That's always good news.
Yeah, it looks like the crime scene has been preserved.
What I wanted to do was two things that I wanted to have a look for. So I still remember that image of this fancy-looking hard drive that I noticed was missing way back at the start. It was colourful or something?
Yes, it had like a colourful, patterned, abstract decal on it.
I just want to do, first off, a scour for the apartment just to see if there's anything that matches it in any way to suggest whether or not it was his that got stolen or something that, now that I think he might be a sneaky thief, whether it just doesn't seem to fit anything of his style at all.
You look around. You cannot find anything else in the apartment that is of that style.
Okay. So not necessarily saying anything, but it's worth noting.
It's worth noting. Like, it would be noteworthy if he had like a whole series of artworks on his wall that all match that exact style, but he does not.
Yeah.
That is not necessarily noteworthy in and of itself.
Exactly. And the other thing that I wanted to look out for was I only gave his desk a bit of a skimble before. I know that I can't get into his computer, but I want to see, does he have any notebooks, anything like that I can look through to find stages of work development of anything that he's done.
So you dig through, and you find in the bottom of one of his desk drawers, under all these papers and books and things, and a lot of the papers as you're looking through them are not relevant work product. They are personal notes about various things, nothing that seems to be related to the game development. There's some...
Sure, he's still a grown-up person. I assume there are some bills stuffed
Yeah,
into
there are some
drawers that he's forgotten
bills, there are
about.
things like that.
Normal adult stuff.
You find 2 things of note.
Hmm.
One of them is a hard drive.
Oh.
A plain, undecorated hard drive sitting at the bottom, covered by a lot of his other papers, almost deliberately.
Interesting. Definitely nabbing that.
The other thing that you find is a notebook.
Great.
It has some sketches, some doodles, and you note that all of these sketches are of cool vampires.
Okay.
Some cool vampires wearing big Western dusters. You see that there's, while it's somewhat silly, they are cool vampires, you can see that there's a really solid artistic connection between. There's a great color scheme. He's picked really nice complementary colors to make these things work together. You see mock-ups of player UIs and menu layouts. You see notes where he's drawn what looks to you like a bit of a clunky design, a bit of a clunky sort of odd-looking menu, and he started to cross things off. And he has a very different design that is drawn next to it.
Okay.
You see mock-ups of the name, Fangs and Fortune. You see a few tester names as well, something that I haven't come up with that's almost as nice as Fangs and Fortune. Wild Wild West, but West, the W looks like a bat. It's like, no, that's not clear enough. A few things like this. But these are a little hard to read, because what you do see is that some of the pages of this notebook have been torn out and crumpled up.
Ooh.
A few more of them have been ripped in half. And a few others have been just sort of torn into little pieces. So the notebook, nothing else around it seems to have been damaged or hurt, but this one particularly looks like it's been savaged in some way.
Fair. Intriguing. Definitely feels like it's relevant. Nothing much got stolen by the person who came in here, but definitely giving off an impression that someone might have been mad about a bit of IP theft.
IPT.
Love it. Good old IPT.
Bit of the old FNF IPT.
IPT from the missing HD.
That's it.
Great. Well, I'm going to take this new plain hard drive. Don't have anything that I can watch it on right now. I recall his computer was password locked. So I guess I'm now going to take a look around. And I'm going to sit down in Dave's chair.
You sit
Body's
in
gone,
Dave's
right?
chair. You move the body.
Oh, dear
you sit in
God.
his chair. You sit on the body. You sit on the lap of Dave's... No, the body is gone.
It was on the floor.
The body is gone.
It moved. Anyway, yeah, what I want to do is sit down in this chair and just try to get a feel for where would he be sitting. He sits during even these VR games, right?
No, he would stand.
Oh, that was a standing one?
The chair itself you had to pull aside from beside his desk.
Right.
The space was kept clear for VR purposes.
Well, I try to stand in an appropriate positioning for it.
You stand in the middle of his room.
And I look around at what would be appropriate. Where could someone be watching from if they were watching exteriorly? If they were watching from the outside, which of these windows, doors, balconies, anything, do any of them look like that could be done? I want to seek out the difference between someone being outside looking in and someone being actually in.
So you look around the room and you don't see that there's any notable sight line. The door behind him is a closed door that leads to the hallway.
Mm-hmm.
The windows are in the kitchen, in the lounge room, but the lounge room itself is on the other side of a small wall and partition. There's maybe an angle that you could get a glimpse at, so you could see perhaps the corner of that broken window from where you're at, but nothing where you would, if you were standing outside that window, you wouldn't be seeing much. You'd be seeing a flared elbow occasionally as he turns to fire his M16.
Yeah.
Shattered worlds.
I'm learning more and more about the context of this game every day. That wasn't how I was visualizing it.
At a zombie.
Oh, okay. So now I feel like I've got to rule this down further. They weren't watching from close by outside. Were they watching from actually inside the apartment? Or are they remotely doing this somehow? And what were some of those comments? I can't remember how valid that is as an idea.
It is interesting to note, a lot of the comments that led you here were not so much about things that they could see. A lot of them were based on sound.
There was a bit of both. But, I see. You think that I was going for things like jumping, but you're saying that could have been an audio jumping that they were noticing.
A lot of them about I could hear that with an echo or...
I see. I definitely got visual in my head from some of those. But you know what? I think it was entirely the jumping one now that I think back. It didn't occur to me that jumping could be noisy because our apartment is soundproof.
True. We have another great benefit of being in our apartment in terms of people jumping.
We're on the top floor.
We're on the top floor. No one's jumping on our ceiling. Except for possums. And workers when there's a leak in the ceiling.
Oh, it's terrifying when they're inside the ceiling. All right. So I feel like there's not too much to do in that case. I'm going to take a look at the fire escape, see if I can go down a story and peek through some windows, see if I can see anything.
Sure. So
I don't know what to make of this facial expression you're giving me.
I'm excited about what you're doing. My face looks perfect, everybody. I know this is an audio-only show, but just picture a perfect face.
I can't tell if it's exactly what you wanted me to do or if you are very surprised that I chose to do that.
I will say the answer to that question, it's both.
Oh, okay.
So you go to the window, you see the broken window that leads to the fire escape and the glass outside on the fire escape. You add your footprint crush to the...
This is why we already did all the tests. Doesn't matter anymore.
And you head down a level. Dung, 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 down the metal fire escape, and you find yourself at another window.
Mm-hmm.
And inside, it's lit up.
Damn it.
And you see into the lounge room of... Well, you're not quite sure yet. It's a smaller version of Dave's apartment. Obviously, there's not...
sure, penthouses,
they don't have
they get their own special
He has a lot more space than the people below him.
But you can tell that it's designed in the same way.
So this is a much smaller lounge room. What was one half of his living area, where the other half had turned into his office and his game room, seems to be their whole living area. You see a couch,
gotcha.
A TV, and the TV is on at the moment, and you can see that they are watching a live stream. Not Nicole Virgin's live stream. They're not streaming at the moment. They're stricken with grief. But another cool streamer. In fact, that streamer's name is Longleg Dave with 2 L's, which, as a fun fact, was the name that I had before using a patron's name for Nicole Virgin's stream. It was originally the stream of Longleg Dave.
So you just happen to have 2 Daves?
Well, that was before Dave had the Patreon name for Dave. When I was doing my notes, that was the streamer's name. Then I realised, this will be a patron.
Very confusing
I should put in a patron. Not even before I even started doing a write-up, when I just wrote a random streamer's name.
How long are Nicole Virgin's legs canonically supposed to be? Should I know this?
It's not a relevant fact. But on this stream, it's incredibly
we're watching
relevant.
Longleg
Dave, he's all legs. He's a tiny body on 6-foot legs. And he's playing Tears of the Kingdom.
So whoever's watching has a thing for Daves.
No, that's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying. There's nothing to read into here. It's just a fun fact about how I developed this.
All right.
Do
I see the person actually sitting there?
They're not sitting there, but you see them as they suddenly come in. They walk into the room. They've got headphones on because you can't hear the TV. They're listening to it through some headphones, and they're holding a big bowl in their arm, and they're stirring it. They're clearly making some kind of dessert. They've got their hair in a little bun, and they're wearing big sort of baggy, relax-at-home kind of clothes. And they're going... as they stir. They have not seen you yet. You are gawking at them in the window. If they turn, they'll see a pale face in a black beanie going, oh.
How old is this person?
They are 20.
Oh, thank God.
They're in their mid-20s.
I was worried I'd found Dave's parents.
No. And they're going...
Oh, are you okay up there? Do you want me to bring you anything from downstairs? Oh, I can hear you jumping around. It was Dave's mum.
That's fair. It was not Dave's mum. I could retcon it to make it Dave's mum, but it is not. And they're going... as they stir their little bowl.
Oh. All right. Anyone who cooks is harmless. I've read Roald Dahl.
Yeah.
So I'm going to...
So don't the witches cook the children in Roald Dahl? Oh, no, they eat them raw. There you go. That's it.
I was going for the lamb bone story. I think that's a Roald Dahl, right?
I hope not. It sounds gross.
I mean, one of the adult ones, yeah. Maybe I'm lying.
So do you try and get their attention?
No, not from here. No,
Knock on the window?
I'm going to scurry back up and go in the normal way and knock on their door like a normal person.
You scurry back up. Like a normal person, you scurry up the fire escape in your black
This is why
stealth
knowing
clothes.
what time of day it is extremely important.
Dive through a broken window into a crime scene like a normal person and take the lift one floor down, and you find their apartment and you knock on the door. And it opens. And you find yourself living in a shotgun shack. And you find yourself... I can't start it again. You said, "This is not my beautiful house. This is not my beautiful wife." She's singing, she's stirring, going... I don't want to keep this in. I want to keep this in. I think that's staying in now. You knock on the door. And she opens the door and you see the same person you saw through the window.
Mm-hmm.
They look pleased to see you, but a little confused. And they say, "Oh, hello, can I help you?"
Again, the small talk thing. I introduce myself and I pretty much say the truth. I'm saying something happened in the building. I'm sure that you've seen some police presence and we need to go around and ask some questions, see if people heard or saw anything.
Oh, of course. Well, my name is Sarah Toffelmeyer.
Great. Hi, Sarah.
Please, come in. Would you? I'm making a delicious lemon cake.
I wondered.
I haven't heard of any disturbance.
Really?
Well, I wasn't here last night. I got a bit distracted with a few things, but if there's anything I can help with, please.
You might have to give me some reminding of like what time things happen and stuff like that. I didn't write down mere details like those. I'm talking to you, Bill, about that.
Yes. I would say that in terms of the timeline as you know it, the stream that you were watching probably started around 7 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
And the killing, as it were,
wasn't far into it.
would have been probably like maybe at 9.
Oh, wow, that late.
Stream started with some chat, some discussion. They set up the fact that they were going to do it. Then they started playing the game for a while. And after playing for a while is when the
I did not realize
problem happened. So we'll say around 9, maybe a bit before 9.
Can I ask what you were doing in the mid part of last night, like 7-ish onwards?
Oh, yes, I was just here at home for most of the time. I usually sit and I watch some stuff on
Sure.
do you know live streams?
Yes, quite well. I believe your upstairs neighbor was a live streamer.
Oh, do you know Dave? I didn't catch up on the end of the stream last night. I got distracted by something. I thought, well, and then I came back and I saw the stream was over. And I figured that the person I saw last night was his friend, and maybe he'd finished the stream. Sorry, yes, he was streaming last night, but when I got back, he seemed like he was done.
Yeah. Oh, so you were outside your apartment for some of this as well?
Yes, yeah. I realized I needed some extra ingredients for something I was making, and I had to leave early. I figured I'd catch up on the stream, and as I was heading out, I saw someone heading up to the top floor in the lift.
Can you describe this person?
Oh, I mean, not super well. They had a big dark hoodie on. It was over their head. Dark hoodie. It had the GamerCon logo on the back. And I saw them going into the lift as I was coming out, and they were hitting the top floor button, and with the GamerCon thing, I assumed they were one of Dave's friends. I tried to introduce myself quickly, but they didn't want to talk to me. So I left, and of course, as I was coming back, I needed some icing sugar. I like to bake, and I'd run out of icing sugar.
Oh, good.
As I was coming back, I saw them again, which is a bit odd. They can't have been up there for long because I was only out for just to go around the corner. But I saw them coming down again. Dark hoodie with a big GamerCon logo on the back.
How tall is this person? Notable in any way?
Oh, I mean, maybe a little bit taller than me.
How tall is she?
She's not notably tall.
Okay.
She's 5'6".
Okay. Reasonable. So you only went around the corner, so what, 15 minutes, something like that?
Well, actually, it was a little strange. because I had to go out because I'd forgotten something. Of course, I think they might have done the same thing.
Oh.
Well, I came down in the lift, and they were getting in as I came out.
Yeah.
I went out to get icing sugar, but I'd forgotten my wallet. And as I was coming back into the building, I saw them still in the elevator.
Oh.
It's like when I left, the doors had closed and they were going up. But when I came back, the doors were closing and they were going up. That doesn't make any sense, does it?
It is curious.
Maybe I only saw them the second time? No, I'm sure I saw them the first time. Maybe they went up and came back down and went back up. I'm not sure.
That is very interesting.
And then when I was coming back, so then I left with my wallet. I went off to the store. I bought some ice and sugar. I came back, maybe 10 minutes at most. And they were leaving as I was coming. They were back in the lift, getting off as I was coming back in.
Curious.
Very strange. I suppose no more strange than anything. It's not like anything suspicious was going on.
Do I have a good time sense for how long in the video Dave was talking to mysterious stranger on stream? Does it feel like this matches up?
Well, in terms of the talking to that conversation with the head up and all of that, that was not that long. 2 or 3 minutes.
Okay.
Is there anything else that you would think to check?
The first thing that I have written, going back to my notes about what happened there, I've got a few little dot points about the actual death moment, which I wasn't crazy about having to write down. It was brutal. The first thing I have as a dot point is Dave trips.
Yes.
And then minutes later, ...
Yes, so that moment of Dave sort of tripping over something and not knowing what it was, that's probably around that 10-minute mark before the stabbing.
Interesting. Did you actually, I gather you've watched Dave stream. Do you know him personally?
Oh, well, I mean, I'd say yes. I'd think yes. So he doesn't, usually I'm not allowed to see him a huge amount, but I was at his party.
Party? Which party was this? Sorry.
It was 2 weeks ago.
Right.
Yeah, look, I know technically I wasn't invited, but I kind of snuck in.
I mean, yeah, big party. Who doesn't?
Oh,
you see a penthouse party.
Exactly. It was a big party. He had caterers moving things in the morning, and I sort of snuck in with them, and and then sort of hung around for a little, and I got to see him, and and it was very cool. So I'd say we're great friends.
So what was the party for?
Just a party.
People just don't throw parties for nothing, right?
Dave throws parties.
Really?
Yeah.
No reason.
Cool guy.
He's not celebrating anything.
Well, he had some announcements. He was saying he was going on a development trip. I don't know what that means. I don't really pay attention to that sort of stuff.
Yeah, it's a game developer thing to do, sure.
Yeah.
But that's it? Just throw a party to make a work announcement?
I think he also just likes to have parties. I've never been to one before, but I've heard them.
Yeah, I don't know. Have you heard much from these previous parties? Were they pretty much the same thing? Just, hey, I'm doing work thing. Woo, party.
No, I don't think they were all work things. I think sometimes you just, and sometimes they're small. This one was a bit bigger, maybe because of the announcement. He doesn't usually get caterers.
Is baffling information to me as to what import this could have. Did anything of note happen at this party? Was there any drama?
Oh, I don't remember any big drama.
Well, a person like Dave, successful people sometimes, create drama. Haven't you watched reality TV?
That's true. Well, I know at some point he was yelling at some of the caterers. They'd misplaced something that they were meant to give back to him early. They gave it back to him. I'm pretty sure it calmed down pretty quick, but for a while there he was a bit annoyed. I remember. It was about his keys.
His keys?
We had to give the caterers the keys so they could let themselves in. And they had to leave them in the kitchen for him, and he came in and he didn't know where his keys were. And he kind of got mad. And
that would definitely bother some people.
But they gave him his keys back just a little bit later.
Sure. Oh, boy. I feel like I've got to go get some contact details for a catering company. This is a lot. Where am I going to take this? That's fascinating. A little bit of interest as to how someone got into his apartment. Still no idea why they had to smash their way out. So many questions. I didn't expect more questions.
I know.
So keys is a good point to know because I hadn't really thought about it, but I just assumed that Dave left his door unlocked. It didn't occur to me to wonder how did the person actually get into his apartment. It could have also been a fire escapey sort of thing. They could have come in that way, but now we've got this evidence of some shady person coming in through the lift, and possibly not, though, because that weird timing of Sarah from downstairs seeing someone go in, but then when they went out, that whole time seemed to match what we saw on the video of how long a person was in the apartment. But that middle time that Sarah thinks she saw this person again in the lift would put a bit of an asterisk there, which has put in my head, okay, it's 2 people. But that might be one person in a hoodie went up, and then a second person in a hoodie, in a hoodie, also went up, and then they came down with it. Okay, hold on. Why, if there were 2 people, would one of them, it seems, come back down at the end of all of the murder, but one of them not, and one of them go out the window? That is curious. I don't really know what to do with that yet. Especially... See, let's assume...
Yeah, start trying to piece this together. You got a lot of questions. Where can you try and fill these questions with answers?
I suppose we could start doing that. I still feel like there's more to learn.
I think so. There's still 2 people we haven't talked to.
I know. I'm really angry that I haven't talked to everyone yet.
You can see how it happens.
So what I'm looking at right now is Dave goes on stream. This is a somewhat regular thing. His schedule presumably has some knowledge in advance by people, right?
Yes.
Even if it wasn't as strictly, it is always this time this week, streamers usually give a bit of advance notice about when they're streaming. It would be possible someone was going to know when he was doing this, when he was going to be.
I will say, you can go through the old streams, as Nicole Verge suggested.
Yep.
The streams with Dave and Josh playing Shattered Worlds have been consistent in terms of start time and date weekly, and they're announced in advance.
Great.
You can see, sadly, right now on her coming up page, they've announced next week's stream with Dave and Josh.
It's just been autoed.
It's still there. The announcement is
man.
still set up to say coming up. Very sad, hasn't been removed yet. What a morbid piece of modern art.
Pretty miserable. Okay, so my first question then is, why this time? Why would that have been a good idea? Because certain points on this stream, Dave's camera is on Dave. Sure, the majority of it is just looking through the VR camera, but what if they'd accidentally arrived a little bit early during the chat portion? Then things would have gone quite terribly wrong for them. So why did they want to do it at that time is definitely a question that I have. Then, how is this party connected and this key situation? So what I'm hearing from Sarah is that the caterers, fair enough, had access to the apartment. They had keys, they were getting in and out, but they didn't seem like they had given Dave back his keys or put them in the right place or something. At any point in that process, someone could have nabbed those keys and presumably copied them? How long does that take? But either way, his keys were open access by someone in catering or at the party, because Dave was only mad about it at the party, so it was still clearly a problem then, even though it was quickly resolved. So someone in the party had his keys, which looks like it is now so that 2 weeks later they could come into his apartment whenever they felt like it. Maybe it's not the first time they've been into his apartment. Maybe this was a repeat offense, whatever. But we come to this day, night, 2 weeks later, where it feels like 2 people have teamed up in some capacity. One of them has come up to Dave's apartment. They have used the keys to come in, tripped Dave in some manner, But then not in such a suspicious way that Dave noticed, because he stayed on stream for a bit longer. Interesting. And then the second person came up. And then one person jumped out a window and one person went back down the stairs. We've got very different energies from these two people. Very different crimes going on here.
Yeah, it feels quite different.
Which was semi-witnessed by downstairs neighbour Sarah. And that's where we're at so far. And that I didn't really consider until saying it right now, that one person seems like they went up. Something caused Dave to trip, but that wasn't that sus. That didn't set anything off, really. And possibly not until the second person came into the picture did things become a discussion, and then an argument, and then a murder. That's quite interesting. I wonder what that could mean, because to me, whenever someone doesn't go straight to murder in an Agatha Christie, it's because they're a thief. And there's definitely plenty of suspicious-looking thieving going around here. So I wonder if the first person was not meant to end up doing any sort of murder at all, and that just wasn't the plan. Again, doing it while streaming, very, very terrifying time to do this. Why not just while he was at work one day? My God. I got questions. I got questions.
A terrifying time to do this.
All right. I'm slowly getting maybe answers, but annoyingly more questions than. So, next thing I do, I just got to ram through this. I've got to meet Josh. I'm less interested in Josh, though his streaming was a little bit suspicious itself. That'll be fun when I find out what's going on there. I kind of want to be able to do that without ever meeting Josh and figure out his story without ever seeing him.
You might be able to figure out a lot of Josh's story without ever seeing him.
Cool.
What do you know about Josh?
I know that he doesn't particularly get along with Dave. Nicole confirms that. He is not great with money. He's also not... Oh my God, he's a caterer! Oh my God, I have it written in my notes. He's a caterer!
Solve This Murder is created by Bill Sunderland and Dani Siller as part of the Consume This Media network. To find out more about all of our shows, you can head to consumethismedia.com. A special thank you to Jared, Devon and Whit from the podcast Advanced Sagebrush and Shootouts for creating our theme music, and thanks to all of you for listening.